The end of summer is coming, but for New York City and the metro area too, where the temperatures are going to specifically focus on New York City, I want to talk about why summer isn't exactly over. Because hot temperatures can occur in a wide variety of times. Like, for example, in 2019, a temperature of 93 degrees occurred on October 2nd. And that was after no 90s at all in October. A temperature in 90s also occurred on September 25th, 2017, after no 90s had occurred since August 1st. August 2017 was below average, and September 2017 made a rebound and wound up being 2.5 degrees above average. Now, as far as October, 93 degrees isn't even the hottest temperature ever recorded in October. That distinction goes to October 5th, 1941, which had a temperature of 94 degrees. Crazy for October. Now, typically backdoor cold fronts do cool it back off. I mean, New York City was back in the mid-50s by October 3rd. As the heat wave continued to scorch the south, giving record high monthly temperatures. New York State saw a state record high temperature because LaGuardia hit 95. And then while temperatures did rise back to the 60s early on the 4th, they then crashed and they wound up hitting the 40s, I believe the morning of the 5th or something like that. I don't know. But basically the temperatures did actually rebound, but then they crashed again. After that, a 90-degree day in the city would not be seen until the next June. And the latest 90-degree day on record was October 7th, but the year I have forgotten. I think it might be 1927, I'm not sure. But that was the last 90-degree day on record for the city. November's all-time record high temperature is 84 degrees, and I forgot the year that it was set in, I'm sorry. The next after that, I know it was 83, which also set a record, 84 being the monthly record. But a temperature of 80 has occurred as late in November as the 15th of the month. So if you think that the 70s are like the balmiest weather ever in November, you'd be wrong, and it might not even set a daily record depending on the part of the month that it occurs in. As far as 70s you pretty much get, even in the winter occasionally, with December getting as high as 75, January as high as 72, and then February 21st, 2018 saw a high of 78, which New York hit 80, and that was the earliest 80-degree day on record for the city of New York. New York is known for getting hotter than New York City in these occasions. The state of New York actually failed to hit 80, however, but the state of Massachusetts did, which I find slightly odd. But as far as the earliest 80s, those were in March. March 13th, if I forgot the year, got as high as 85 degrees. But the highest temperature in March was actually 86 degrees. So you could have summer-like weather even in the meteorological winter, is what I'm trying to say. So summer might not be over until November even. And summer could begin in March. As a matter of fact, on March 26, 2021, the first 80-degree day in the city occurred in 23 years since the March 1998 heat wave. It didn't meet the criteria for a heat wave. The earliest heat wave was in mid-April 2002. But nonetheless, it was still way above average, and it made the month go from 1.3 degrees below normal to 3 degrees above normal due to the heat wave. As far as the other stuff goes, we had March 26, 2021, which got to 82 degrees. I mentioned that. Then from March 27th to 31st, we had 5 consecutive days in the 80s in 1998, which is funny because then April would not get to the 80s at all. And then on March 31st, we saw the 86 degree being the ultimate temperature. And March 29th, 1945, also got to 86 degrees. And the day before, March 28th, was 85. And there were comparisons used to that. I think it was 85 or something like that. when the high was 33 degrees on March 28th. So just because you can have summer-like weather at the end of March does not mean that you will have summer-like weather at the end of March. It's very likely that you do not. But the earliest 90-degree day record did occur as a part of the 2010 North American heat waves. New York City got to 92 degrees as early as April 7th, and the first heat wave, I talked about this, was in mid-April, where I believe on like April 16th or 17th or something like that. April in 2002, April set a record high of 96 and a record warm low of 76 during that heat event. So clearly, the air had quite a tropical feel, and this would be considered brutal even in the depths of summer. But it wasn't in the depths of summer, and I think that's what makes it even worse. It's a common theme of mine that I like to talk about is how, this heat compares to the depths of summer, and when it's worse than that in mid-April, something is off. So, what's this video trying to accomplish? This video is trying to accomplish that just because the calendar might say it's a month does not mean that you should not catch yourself off guard. And I'm going to be honest, be prepared to wear summer clothing anytime from mid-March to like early November, because even though it's unlikely that could happen, it clearly has. Now, depending on where you live, it might not be as relevant, especially in March because, wind off the water and whatnot, but I still caution you that looking at the weather is crucial no matter what time of year it is, because you might have pleasant surprises or you might have disappointments. I mean, September has gone to the 30s before in New York City. Okay, I think we're done here.